and is killing the planet. These companies' track record, spoken so eloquently by Nick and Lazarus just now, has been resisted by indigenous communities, by people of colour, by frontline activists for decades. They have been murdered, silenced, corruption used against them. The full armoury of legal force has been used against them in these countries. They fought on and on. They use law, they use protests, they value and welcome all of the voices that we can use and raise here in solidarity in a country where we still have free speech, where we still have the right to protest in ways that they cannot imagine and cannot undertake. So my decision last year to join the rebellion was based on the fact that, still companies like Shell are shelling out millions and billions in greenwashing their track record, in continuing to bamboozle everyone into thinking that they're really changing their ways when they're not, when basically their business model is to undertake new exploration in pristine Arctic waters, anywhere where they can make a buck, anywhere where they can continue operating. That's what they're doing. And they're trying to get us, the public, to think that things are changing and that they're on board for climate protection, on board for protecting the environment of the countries they're in. That's really just not the case. And I feel that I have to stand here and place on record that actually, report after report, I'm an academic as well as a lawyer, has proved that there is a big distorted view of reality, that they're paying and funding marketing, advertising, lobbying. All of these techniques are being used to guilt trip us into thinking it's all our fault that we're still driving cars, when actually it's them who are pushing a fossil fuel-based economy. It's all of these companies and their lobbyists in the EU, where I've also seen face-to-face how things work. When they gut all the legislation that actually the public in the end demands and gets, they gut it. Behind the scenes, they create loopholes, they create a fear of the loss of jobs, they create a fear of the loss of tax revenue, they put politicians on notice for disruption. They will cause economic disruptions if the politicians do the right thing. All over the world, lots and lots of politicians have sadly not stood up for the abuses and not stood up for future generations, not stood up for our children's rights, not stood up for the human rights, not stood up for the laws they themselves should adhere to. And I keep coming back to the theme of law. I guess I have to do that. But at a certain point, at least for me last year, it became more important to break the law than to adhere to it as a way of drawing attention to the criminal negligence, to the ecocide that these companies are committing and getting away with. I really want to salute the work of Polly Higgins, who also passed away last year. I think she highlighted, very eloquently and worked tirelessly to bring the concept of ecocide into the public domain, to really say, actually, enough is enough, and we have to acknowledge the huge historic injustice and name it. And that's what the words ecocide really means. It is environmental damage on such a scale that it makes people whose livelihoods depend directly on nature not able to continue that. And I feel that whatever we can do to support the law moving at a faster pace to bring these people to account, the quicker we will get to a better world. I still believe that we need to also do the insider track. We will have in the UK here the next, what's called the next COP, the next big UN summit, the summit which is now 5 years on from Paris, when governments were meant to have increased their national plans, NDCs, when they were supposed to catch up with a huge gap in what we call ambition, the huge gap between reality, what demands, what science demands, and what's actually happening. We are way off track in this country. Most of the rich countries, even before COVID came along, had not done their homework, had not done enough to catch up with what science was asking them, what Paris was asking them. and we now have more excuses as a result of COVID, instead of seeing COVID as an opportunity to really put in place fundamental reforms of our economy, to stop bailing out these massive corporations, to stop using taxpayers' money to continue their exploration. We still have an opportunity to really use the multiple crises that we now know are linked to get to a better world. I, will be joining different parts of the rebellion next week. I hope to see many of you on the streets there. Sadly, we need to keep going, and we need to not get sidetracked with some of the greenwashing that will continue. So I just want to say thank you. I'm looking forward to the disco disobedience dance, and salute all of the people who've made this possible. Thank you.